Hello, Mate. Just calling to check in, but a start to the season. 4 wins from 4, solid performances all around. Raum and Elmas shining last game, Sesko bagging goals, and the team's looking sharp. But listen, the real tests are coming now. Champions League opener at Arsenal, Hugel game. And then back to the Bundesliga grind with Gladbach. Big week ahead, but I've got a good feeling about this squad. Let's keep the momentum going.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 33 of Red Bull KloppBot here on Sean Does FM, currently at Leipzig. I hope you're doing well, and coming up today we're going to start our campaign in the UEFA Champions League, a big game as well away from home. We'll check out the KloppBot's hotspots in London before we take on Arsenal, and then we're going to take on Gladbach in the Bundesliga off the back of this too. A couple of big games coming up against some German opponents. That'll be happening though in tomorrow's episode, but if you're looking forward to that as well, is a bit of a recap on what happened in the remainder of the transfer window off the back of yesterday's episode. Then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on today's video and all that good other YouTube algorithmic stuff. But we are up to the start of the Champions League here for our first season in it with Leipzig off the back, of course, of our Europa League win last season, as well as our third place finish in the Bundesliga. And we did kick off the season yesterday by picking up the UEFA Super Cup. So if you missed that one, as well, of course, as running through all the transfers that we did make in the off-season, I'll leave a link to that one over in the top right corner. Since then, we did first up have the remainder of the transfer window. Of course, one big cloud hanging over us here, that £90 million release clause for Benjamin Sesko. He's still there, you can see it there in the player stats. Thankfully, no one's triggered. That is still wanted by a couple of clubs, different ones in London, in Chelsea and Tottenham, but thankfully hasn't left, so you think he'll still be here until January at the very least. So it did mean that not much else happened in terms of the remainder of our transfer window. Just pop over to the transfer history and you'll see that we sold a youngster and we bought one in. Let's sort this out in terms of over here on the right hand side. Andreas Seitz is a player with not much potential that we sold for £115,000, rising to £200,000, and with some of that money to actually sign a quite promising centre back out of South Africa in Seanda Shabalala. Great name. Loaned him straight back out though to the Orlando Pirates, so you won't see him for the remainder of the season, or at least until that South African season finishes. Did think his potential was a little bit higher at 4.5 stars, but still, for just under £400,000, that did look like a very good bit of business. That was all we did in the remainder of the transfer window. Nothing in terms of our first team squad. And on the field, we've been very, very good so far. Probably what you'd expect considering our opposition off the back of that UEFA Super Cup, where we just did enough to get past Real Madrid, starting off with 2-2-0 wins first up over Nuremberg. Goals early in that game to Kudus as well as Sesko. And off the back of that, Sesko picked up a double again, quite early goals there as we got past Hamburg. Then we picked up a couple of 3-1 wins in a row. So far, been pretty consistent. To be fair, the goal that broke our clean sheet streak here this season at RB Leipzig was an absolute blinder. You may have seen it during the course of that intro. Raw there with 10 minutes to go to make things a little bit interesting at the time, but thankfully off the back of that, Drago just got us back out to a cushion goal lead, and before then Sesko from the spot and Noose off the bench to give us that lead. And before this game, our first one in the Champions League, we took on Union Berlin and won with the exact same scoreline, with goals there to David Laum, Aljif Almas and Talas Magno. So it's been a really good start for us so far here at RB Leipzig this season, with all those transfers that we have made, and obviously helped out by the fact that no one's taken Sesko from us so far, and we're actually on top of the table all on our lonesome. Bayern Munich, they dropped points quite early, a draw away at Hoffenheim. Dortmund, they drew a game away at Holstein Kiel. To be fair, even though those guys were predicted to finish down in 18th, they actually won their first 2 games of the season, so that result was actually quite a good one a couple of games ago, and off the back of that, they did hold Dortmund to a draw. In the team that they lost to there, Borussia Dortmund, that was Werder Bremen. So already got a bit of a march there on the 2 teams you'd expect to challenge us in the Bundesliga this season, albeit Bayern Munich, no doubt, will get their act in gear in the second part of the season. If anything like teams like PSG are in Football Manager, they just steamroll their way through the late parts of a league season. You can see it there over on the right-hand side in terms of the team overview. 29 games without losing, so we'll see, especially tomorrow when we take them on at home in the Bundesliga, if we maybe might actually be better than this season, or if we're just kidding ourselves, having got a pretty kind draw to start things off there in the Bundesliga. But today we kick things off with the Champions League. We'll just filter this down so you can see who we're going to be taking on in this competition this season. We'll pop that back up and you can see we've actually got a couple of tough opponents, especially the first two that we take on. We'll take on the first one, obviously, in today's episode away. We clash with Arsenal. Tomorrow we'll come back and take on Dortmund in the Champions League. It's a bit of a rubbish draw, that one, getting a fellow German team there in the Champions League, but at home hopefully can do the job there over a pot 2 team. Then we get a couple of good chances to pick up some more points if we don't in those first couple of games against Midtjylland as well as Celtic, albeit both those games are away from home. Then PSG, that's one of the tougher ones alongside Arsenal that we do have. Lazio away in our last game before the end of the year and our winter break here in Germany. Hopefully, even though that one's away from home, we can beat them again like we did in the Europa League final last season, considering our squad looks stronger and we got the job done last year 3-0. And we round things off with 2 home games in January. Newcastle could be a little bit tricky depending on how we get on against Arsenal, and also if Sesko's still here. Hopefully got that release clause can get him to sign a new contract before we get into January, and we should pick up 3 points on the final match day when we do host Fenerbahce, but definitely should be good enough here to make our way through at the very least to that first knockout playoff round thing by qualifying inside of the top 24. Whether or not we can sneak our way into the top 8 probably depends if we can pick up points against teams like Arsenal and PSG. But we start off here by taking on Arsenal, obviously one of the big clubs in London, albeit in the save. We'd probably argue that Tottenham actually have been that the last couple of years, considering they've been picking up Europa Leagues and making Champions League finals. They come to us off the back of a 1-0 win over Chelsea, but before then, their form actually pretty average losses to Liverpool and Manchester United, and they drew against Bournemouth and Tottenham. So up until that Chelsea game, they weren't going too well. Currently, they are down in 7th on the Premier League table. Just see if there's any other London clubs above them, and indeed, it's just Tottenham. So he's definitely Tottenham, the best London club in this universe. Chelsea actually struggling a little bit all the way down in 14th. Don't ask me what's going on for Liverpool below a team like West Ham after we took one of their better players from them. And Mohamed Kudus, Man City up at the top of the table. Unfortunately, no charges yet. They're still in the Premier League. But in terms of Arsenal, Mikel Arteta is still in charge. Their captain's Declan Rice, albeit I'm pretty sure he's injured for this game. He could play, but I wouldn't expect it. Is still 4 days away, but certainly very good player. Premier League money does mean these squads are going to be very stacked when we take on opposition from this league. Gabriel Jesus is the vice captain these days. Good player, but is currently unhappy at the club. He wants a new deal. Hopefully that means he'll put out a rather average performance in this Champions League opener. But the key player is the star boy, Bukayo Saka, and he is ridiculously good in Football Manager. Hopefully we do find a way to keep him quiet, but definitely Arsenal are the favourites going in to this Champions League opener, especially because we're also dealing with an injury now as comes to Levi Cole. Will be fair, it's just our backup centre-back, but a groin strain does mean he's gone for 7 days to 3 weeks, so it means currently we're actually using Klosterman as a bit of a right-back slash centre-back, especially for the Champions League squad, because I made a boo-boo with all those transfers. We only had a couple of homegrown nation players as well as homegrown club players who were over 21. Got a lot who are under 21, but we don't need to register those guys. But it does mean only got 20 players registered for the Champions League this season. Having to call up a couple of players from down in our under-19s, including someone like Roland Gutau, just to be that extra right back up in this competition. Here's what he looks like. Hopefully won't have to use him, but a couple of big names not registered that we did sign. Sakay Kia Musa Ramirez as well as Nico Paz. They're all unregistered for the Champions League, so our squad's a little bit light for this competition. Hopefully those guys who are not in the Champions League squad can pick up the slack when we need them to in the Bundesliga once these fixtures do start piling up, especially heading in to that winter break. But to be fair, we go into this game in pretty good nick, and of course Xavi Simons has come back from injury. He's allowed to play about 75 minutes, so I thought we'd start him for the first time so far here at RB Leipzig for this game. World-class player. Hopefully he can make a difference there in central attacking midfield. But to be fair, Benzke has been doing a pretty decent job while he has been out injured in the early part of the season. Already is a quite nice link up there with Benjamin Sesko. That might be helping him out. One of our first signings, we did make our way to the club last season, but before we get stuck into our Champions League opener, our first time in the save, we are off to London, so it's time to check out the KloppBot's hotspots. And here's what he's come up with here for our trip to London. We even told him it's before a Champions League game. So here's what he's come up with here. For some reason, he thinks we're playing this at Wembley. I probably should have told him that we were playing Arsenal, but to be fair, we're not doing this again when we take on the likes of Tottenham or Chelsea if they're even in the Champions League. So we're going to stay at the Hilton London Wembley, located adjacent to Wembley Stadium, which is now a little bit weird considering that we are playing Arsenal, but this hotel offers modern amenities, spacious rooms, and convenient access to the stadium and surrounding attractions. Facilities include an indoor pool, fitness centre, and the rooftop Sky Bar 9, providing panoramic views of London. Let's check out this place. Does sound like it's quite fancy, like a few places we've been staying here lately. To be fair, these Hilton websites aren't the best going around. They're not the most appealing in terms of making the places look that flash. You can see there one of the entrances with a bit of the British flag there on the floor and some paintings. Going forward, there's what it looks like there from the outside. There's a couple of the rooms. They look tidy enough without looking too fancy, and I'm pretty sure that might be that Skytop bar that we did see before in the Sky 9 or whatever it was called. It does look quite nice, that part of it. It'll be decent for us though, even though it's not actually that close to where we're going to be playing the game here, because we're not playing at Wembley, we're playing at the Emirates. As you can see there, they do have that indoor pool and also a bit of a fitness centre, so I get thumbs up for that. It will do the job, even though really we should probably be staying somewhere a little bit closer to the Emirates. We'll go down a bit further. You can see what else is going on here in terms of the Hilton dining and drinks. They can do hospitality packages, even including some dairy fresh milk if you need to. It looks like that might be getting used as a gravy holder for some strange reason, but there's the Hilton. That's where we're staying here for our trips to London in the save. Now, activity wise, he does love something risky, does the KloppBot, for some reason. Before a game, and he's come up with it again here, we're going to do some urban X throwing at Whistle Punks. Will engage in a unique and exhilarating experience where team members can safely throw X's at targets. Please don't hurt each other like you were doing last season. It felt like just after I got here. This activity promotes focus, coordination, and friendly competition at better, making it an excellent team building exercise. To be fair, lots of new players here, so we might need a bit of team building. Hopefully no one too upset with each other yet, and we won't have any injuries as we do this. And it does seem like an interesting idea, this one. I think this is kind of where we'll be doing this, as it was the only place in London that did pop up on their website. Over 10,000 5-star reviews. You can see there what they do. We won't play the video, but you pretty much throw X's at targets and count scores and whatnot. I imagine they've got a fully licensed bar and a pizza kitchen, so we can have some pizza while we're here. A fully licensed bar does sound quite interesting. While you're X throwing, that could go badly at times. Hopefully it won't though, but obviously it'll be very safely run, and our boys, they'll be well behaved. We won't give them too much Red Bull before we kick off this one, otherwise things could go just a little bit south. A couple of different options that we do have here. Obviously, being Leipzig, we'll probably go with the exclusive lanes over there, and going down further, there's some other stuff on the website and some photos, but to be fair, not too much about what's going on there with the X throwing. But you can probably imagine. Next up though, we're off to do some interactive gaming at Electric Gamebox. We'll immerse the team in a series of interactive digital games that require collaboration and quick thinking. This high-tech activity fosters teamwork and problem-solving skills in a fun and engaging environment. So again, some nice early season team bonding for us here at RB Leipzig, albeit current form, we might not need to do too much of that. Hopefully winning might get the job done. But here's the website that I found here for this place in London. They're open quite late. You can go inside and you can play some games and do some VR type of things. We'll go down a bit further. You can see some of the games that you can do. The Floor is Lava, Escape AI, Can't Decide. So I think that just gives you a bunch of random games, which might be quite handy for a football team. Going down further, Black Mirror Careers, Ghostbusters, you got Tetris. Down even further, Squid Game, Paw Patrol. Even further than that, Angry Birds. For some reason, Shaun the Sheep, which is a bit harsh after I just had a haircut. And going down further, some other things. Temple of Coins, Ticket to Mars. Haven't heard of these ones quite as much as some of the ones above, like Tetris, but that's what we'll do in the middle of our time in London off the back of that X frame. We'll do some gaming and use our thumbs and stuff instead of our arms to throw those X's. And off the back of that, we're going to learn how to cook. Some of the guys might enjoy this as they go check out the Jamie Oliver Cookery School. To be fair, I thought that had actually shut down, but maybe it wasn't as bad as it was made out here. Over in New Zealand, we'll participate in a hands-on cooking session where the team can learn new culinary skills and prepare a meal together. This activity encourages communication and teamwork, culminating in a shared dining experience. Now, unfortunately, there's no German type foods here that we can do at the Jamie Oliver Cooking School. You can see here, you can do Singapore stuff, you can do Christmas with all the trimmings. There's all sorts of stuff, but nothing too German. And to be fair, there's not even that much I'd consider to be super British as well. That's probably what you'd want to do at a cooking school in London, but not a heck of a lot. Vietnamese, turkey ravioli, which you can get over in Italy. Going down further, you've got Spain, Indian prawn curry, a burger. It's probably better in Germany anyway, especially with some German beer. You've got the Italian guy there, a calzone, more Indian food. There's not a lot of British stuff. We might go back up to the top soon and see what else there actually is. Under the British section, you can cook a steak, but even then, you can kind of get that anywhere around the world. Lots of Italian type of stuff, as well as a couple of Asian sort of things, maybe 5 ingredients. That might be the best option for the fellas to whip up a quick meal. There's lots of options, just not too sure which one would suit a bunch of Germans who need to have a nice healthy diet. Being in a football team, we'll check out here what are the British options: Christmas and steak. So that's debatable if that's actually super British. But anyway, we'll go to one of those classes there at the Jamie Oliver School. Probably, as I said, maybe the 5 ingredients. And hopefully our fellas will be nicely fed and full of energy before we take on Arsenal in our Champions League opener. And here are the team sheets for our first game in the Champions League. Also the first time we get that lovely backing music there at Arsenal going with it looks like a bit of a 4-3-3. As I said back when we were doing competitions like the Europa League, I think the 4-3-3s can look a little bit funny with the graphics. There we are for the first time this season, our best 11, because Simons comes back into the squad off the back of that injury that's kept him on the bench for the last couple of games that we have played, and also a pretty strong bench apart from the fact that Colwell is out with that injury. But hopefully can try and pick up a point here in our Champions League Open. Not expecting it away from home against one of the top 1 teams, but certainly be a good start. And we don't have to wait long for the first highlight in this game, just 3 minutes in. Unfortunately though, it's a throw into Arsenal. Alvarez plays into Saka, who floats that one far post. It's a dreadful start. Martinelli heads that one into the top left corner inside 5 minutes. We go 1-0 down. That's certainly the earliest we've conceded so far this season. Not helped out either by the fact that Elmas is already on a yellow card, but that was just far too easy there from that throwing routine that Arsenal did work. We never really got near them, and Martinelli can put that one home to make it 1-0 very early. And just short of the 15-minute mark might be a chance for us here to grab a goal back nice and early in this game, which would be quite nice, because otherwise might be in trouble here for the first time this season. Try and float that one far post there, headed back down for Oosterwolde. Good chance, but unfortunately just blazes that one over the top left corner. Actually, stats-wise now starting to get on the front foot, but still a goal down. And we go forward to the half-hour mark from the next highlight against a corner hit in our favour, this time picking out Cisco at the near post, but unfortunately that one comes off the woodwork. Can't quite put that one in the back of net. The highlight ends starting to go on the front foot, as I said earlier, but with 10 minutes to go in the first half, we are still a goal down, albeit now got a throw pretty close to inside of the final third, and hopefully work something like Arsenal did earlier in this game. Oosterwolde there with a long-range effort. It comes off the woodwork again, but thankfully this time Kudus is there to poke that one home. We've hit the woodwork now a couple of times in this game, to be fair. Also did that in a couple of previous games, but thankfully we finally get a chance to put one home. Nice work there again from Magno with the header down. Oosterwolde, but unlucky with that shot, goes through the legs of Saliba and comes off the woodwork, but thankfully Kudus is there to poke that one home, and we make it 1-1 just before half-time. And based on stats, I think we deserve that, because off the back of that opening goal we conceded, we've definitely been all over the Arsenal. Let's see what happens here late on in the half. We've got a thrown inside of the final third. A bit of a mix-up there, I thought, between Cisco and Magno, but actually, I think Bukayo Saka has pushed Magno. This will be a chance for Benjamin Sesko from the spot to give us a lead right before half-time. So this will be a brilliant end to the first half. If he can put it away, he goes straight down the middle with a silly little Panenka type thing, and it goes straight into the arms of David Raya. So it's still going to be 1-1 at halftime. He goes down to a 6.1. I think this is a chance for us here to take him off and bring on young Marban from Mexico also will take off Almas on that yellow card for Mariba. And to be fair, Simon's going a bit fairly on a 6.5, so Ben Zaguirre can count on as well. There'll be 3 subs there at halftime. Actually pretty happy with how we're playing. Just need to take our chances a bit better. That's probably the first time Benjamin Sesko's let us down, so better show it now that we've actually got a decent backup in our squad, but not too disappointed with that first half on the front foot and locked up at 1-1. And a very early highlight here in the second half, and Arsenal are on the ball, bang on the halfway line here, just knocking it about down the right-hand side. One of our former players there too, and Gertrude, of course, doesn't really feel like it because he got sold because of his release clause just after we joined the club, but he's there in the field, hopefully can get one over him. But Arsenal there, somehow Saka finds himself in a ton of space from that ball from Martin Odegaard, who we must be marking tightly. You'd also think we'd be marking Saka tightly, but I think there, the assistant referee did put their flag up, so that goal will get disallowed, and thankfully that is the case, because otherwise that would have been a shocker to concede as we ganged up there on Odegaard. Thankfully, our player there on our left-hand side, I think that would have been Lekeba, did actually step up and put him in an offside position, so it's still 1-1. And we've hit the hour mark now in this game, and it's time for us here to make another sub. Martel going quite well. It has just picked up a yellow card. Bajcetic can come on for him. Still 1-1 with a half hour left. And only a couple of minutes on from that sub that we did make here in the second half, now Arsenal are on the attack again. So far that's been the theme in the second half, a little bit concerningly considering how well we did finish that first one. Rice there, who is playing this game on orange injury. Maybe they brought him off the bench, but his shot there comes off the woodwork, so thankfully they get a bit of what we were dealt there in the first half. A long range effort there off the back of that from Alex Mariba from a free kick, but unfortunately that one goes well over the bar. And now Talas Magno drops down to a red hut. So Ujlago can come on with our final sub still. About 25 minutes left, and it's locked up at 1-1. And we're just made way into the last 10 minutes of this game. Still 1-1, but a throw for us here. Pretty similar spot where Arsenal had their one in the first half, and we pick up Marban there at the far post. That's his first goal, obviously, in the Champions League. Coming on for Sesko, who blew that big chance from the spot just before halftime. That's a big goal there from our young Mexican wonder kid. It's played back there to Malhero, who floats at far post. Raya kind of comes out for that one, but thankfully Marban just heads that one across the face of goal into the bottom right corner. Off the back of that, I think it's time for us here to just start time wasting a little bit. Hopefully Arsenal will get not many more chances in this game and we can pick up 3 points. I would have been happy with just 1 point from this tricky away clash to start our Champions League this season, but 3 points here would be quite a big statement to start things off, albeit I say that. And Arsenal are now on the attack. Good foot in there from them in midfield. Saka here from a tight angle. Squeeze that one for Samanski, who I'm pretty sure is the player who broke it up before, but thankfully his shot goes wide. Did think that maybe Restes might have got a touch on that one. We make our way into 6 minutes of added time. Thankfully, it's gone by rather quickly, and that's a big 3 points for us there to start off our Champions League campaign. Shocking start conceding from the first highlight through Gabriel Martinelli, but then Mohamed Kudus just before halftime really should have made it 2-1 as Benjamin Sesko. Shocking penalty, but thankfully we brought Marban on for him and he scored the goal there late on to give us a 2-1 win. So a brilliant start for us there in a game that actually, even if you take out the XG from that penalty, we proper dominated there with 18 shots and 7 on targets. Very happy with how that one went. Hopefully can continue our unbeaten start here this season when we come back and take on Gladbach in the Bundesliga. And we might as well come back and get straight stuck into this game. Second up in today's episode, back in the Bundesliga. We're on top with our perfect start. Now, we've gone with pretty much a full rotation. The only players who our first team is keeping their spots there, that would be Simons in central attacking midfield. We've got Ustavaldo at left back, and of course Restes and goalkeeper. But apart from that, it's a full rotation. Our players on a heavy workload off the back of that win over Arsenal. Gladbach have just struggled a little bit so far this season, mid-table, but of course are a previous winner of trophies in both Germany and in Europe. So definitely a team that we need to respect, but hopefully at home can pick up another win and stay on top of the Bundesliga. And just past the 10-minute mark, get the first highlight in this game. Hopefully our rotation players can do a decent job here, including the likes of CK, who of course aren't registered for the Champions League. Klosterman at centre back with that injury that Colwell is carrying. We go far post there for Ujlago, but we continue to hit the post down that left-hand side. In today's episode, that one can't quite sneak its way into the back of net. Off the back of that, I have an ad pop-up, which means I can encourage before this highlight starts. Hopefully that won't prove a factor in what we're about to see, but thankfully off the back of the clearance from the goalkeeper, we do get that ball back. We played out there to Nusa down our right-hand side, but did actually come in for him on deadline day. but quite late. So I did feel like maybe we'll keep him for now. If a bid comes in January, hopefully might actually be able to replace him with a homegrown nation player, because it's definitely an area where I stuff things up in that transfer window. Probably sold a few too many of those, albeit going forward a few more years in the save, we should be okay with a lot of future homegrown club players. Marban, though, will put that one away in the top left corner. He's one of them. He'll become homegrown club in 3 years' time, but unfortunately, he has just snuck offside, so that goal won't count. Still 0-0 here. Just past the 15-minute mark, Bajcetic there plays it for Xavi Simons, and unfortunately, that first touch pass means he's just a straight offside, so it remains scoreless. And it's been very quiet off the back of those highlights we did around the 10-minute mark in this game. And of course, that offside goal that Marban did put away. So unfortunately, still 0-0 here at halftime. To be fair, being a quiet game, and with the rotation we're doing, it's probably not that bad a result. But against Simons, is just struggling early days here at RB Leipzig. Benzema can come on for the second half. We're looking okay, but really doing to improve a little bit here in the second half if we want to stay top of the table. Otherwise, Bayern, they can catch us up. But so far, not going badly. We're pretty close to a full rotation at 0-0. And going forward to the hour mark, and it's time for us here to make a few more subs, because pretty much all our attackers today are struggling a little bit. So Noosa on a 6.4 can come off. That will be for Kudus. We're going to take off the Ujulago for Magno, and of course Cisco. He can come on for Marban. Hopefully he'll score a goal just like Marban did for him in that game we just played there in the Champions League. It does show, though, we can have some faith in our backup striker this season, albeit it may have been eroded with the performance today, a 6.4, but still, he came on for Cisco and scored a match winner against Arsenal. I think we're now okay. We can give our big lad a rest when we need to. Good work there from Ilex to intercept that ball. We find Talas Magno in space there down our left-hand side. He tries to take on the shot from a tight angle. Maybe the sliding tackle there did just mean he took a touch extra than he needed to. Unfortunately, just pulls that one wide, and it's still 0-0, albeit a few minutes later, Kudus will put this one near post there from a set piece, and unfortunately, that one comes off the woodwork. Thankfully, they keep this ball in a dangerous area. Norby hits the woodwork with a shot, but then Talas Magno's there to poke that one home, just like, of course, Kudus was in the first half of that Arsenal game. Before we see the replay, let's take off Bajcetic there on a red heart for Eric Martel, but we finally put the ball in the back of the net here. It's taken 66 minutes and a couple of shots from this highlight that did come off the woodwork. First up, I think it was Oosterwolde there from the corner, and that long range effort from Norby, actually not too bad, but Magno's there can put that one into an open net and make it 1-0. And we just made way into the last 15 minutes of this game. Benzema looking for Kudus at the far post from a free kick. Unfortunately, can't quite link up. And then I think that was Norby who loses the ball there on our left-hand side. Albeit great work there from Oosterwolde, who runs forward and gets us here back on the ball. We find Kudus in the centre of just outside the box and rifles that one into the top left corner. He picks up 2 goals in today's episode, and that should be a match winner as we make it 2-0 with just under 15 minutes left. That's a rifle there from Kudus. Good work there from Oosterwolde. Magno, he finds Benzema, who picks out Kudus in not that much space, but that's a wonderful curving in for that one into the top left corner. They'll be up there for goal of the season, you think. That makes it 2-0, and hopefully that should put this game to bed. So far, Borussia Mönchengladbach have not been up to too much.
Yeah.
Albeit, as I say that, Talas Magno, who we only brought on about 20 minutes ago, will be forced from the field. So maybe should have left someone out there like Ujulago, but to be fair, he was struggling today, and we did bring Magno on, and he scored the goal that put us in front. So unfortunately, going to be down to 10 men here for the late stages of this game. We might even now start to time waste, considering that that is the case. And also, we should probably as well focus a little bit down our right-hand side with one less player down our left. So we'll see what that does here late on in this game. Couple of changes and also time wasting. We are probably wouldn't usually, but down to 10 men, we better play things safe. And unfortunately, a highlight here for Gladbach right off the back of those changes. Weigl plays it in there. I think that was to Nets. He'll get it back here down their left-hand side. Now it's Dorsch who'll play that one out there to Scully down their right-hand side. Starts to cut in field here. Might even take on a shot, but good interception that one from Benzema. Will pump that one deep, but unfortunately, straight into the path of Elvedi. Now Omlin plays that one out there to the centre-back partner, goes for there to Weigl, and he picks out the Huerta in a fair bit of space, tries to put that one away, but thankfully, decent save that from Resti. He's been pretty quiet so far in this game, but thankfully comes up there with a big save off the back of that corner. They find Avia at the near post, but thankfully that one goes well high and wide, and we hold on to our 2-0 lead. We now start to make our way here into 4 minutes of added time. A late free kick is flicked on there, and Scully's there to put that one home for his first goal of the season. Will be, I think, the assistant referee there did put the flag up. Hopefully that's the case anyway. Otherwise, this could be a very interesting finish down to 10 men, but thankfully he was offside. It stays 2-0, and really that should be all she wrote in this game. Just goes forward there a couple of strides too soon, puts it past Restes, but it doesn't count, and that should be all she wrote for this game. Going a little bit there over referees added time, but thankfully we stay undefeated this season so far here at RB Leipzig, and that result, no matter what happens with Bayern Munich as well as Eintracht Frankfurt the day after this game, does mean we'll stay on top of the Bundesliga. It's a pretty good win as well, starting with a quite heavy rotation. Obviously had to bring on some big guns there in the second half. You can see just what that did to that XG graph. Thankfully they picked up the goals there. Magno as well as Kudus, both our first choice wingers coming off the bench there and picking up the goals. Hopefully that injury to Magno isn't too serious, but it does mean we'll stay on top of the Bundesliga off the back of 5 matches played and a 2-0 win over Gladbach. So the perfect start to the season continues here at RB Leipzig off the back of those wins there over Arsenal in the Champions League. That one, a big one away from home, and then we beat Gladbach, who, to be fair, a little bit of mid-table fodder in the Bundesliga these days, but they are quite a decent club, having previously picked up Bundesligas as well as Europa Leagues, and a decent team, even though these days only 3.5-star reputation. Got some decent players there, the likes of Weigl, Omlin and Hertha, but thankfully we kept them quiet and pick up a 2-0 win even with a quite heavy rotation. So a good start to the season here at RB Leipzig, albeit did come at a cost. Tellers Magno, some sprained ankle ligaments. He's out for 2 to 4 weeks, so it does mean he'll definitely miss that first game we'll come back for in tomorrow's episode. Dortmund, albeit in the Champions League, so probably could afford to drop that one, even though it is at home. He might be back in time, though, when we come back to take on Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, because off the back of that Dortmund game as well as Augsburg away, there is a couple of week gaps, so I think he might be okay for that Bayern game, but definitely won't be fit for the Dortmund one. Udrago will have to step up, and also maybe have to call up someone from our under-19s again with that registration situation. But so far, a very good start, not conceding many goals and scoring quite a few. So I think we're looking quite strong here this season at RB Leipzig. Whether it's strong enough to challenge for the Bundesliga title, we'll probably find out in tomorrow's episode. But if you enjoyed today's one wins there over Arsenal and Gladbach, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. As I said, tomorrow we'll come back, take on Dortmund in the Champions League and Bayern in the Bundesliga, both at home, so no KloppBots hotspots. But until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.